All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the America United FC podcast. We're back after a bit of an off-season Christmas holiday break. We're back here, and we're back. How you feeling, Will?
Feeling pretty good. I definitely having some USMNT withdrawals. I'm excited to see them back on the field this
Yeah.
week. But yeah, no, things are
Well,
going good. Plenty
yeah.
of Premier League football and some exciting Serie A games to
Mhm.
keep me engaged. But yeah, I'm excited for some more national team games coming up.
Yeah. We've had a lot of the soccer, and I mean, the U.S. national team has not stayed away from the headlines, even though
Not say away, yeah, not a lot
they
going on the
haven't played
pitch,
any
but a lot
games.
going on off the pitch.
Yeah. But anyway, talking about on the pitch, talking about well, at least what is about to be on the pitch, talking about the sport itself. We have our January camp coming up, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about a little bit of the transfers, talk about a little bit of the managerial gossip, basically related to the fact that there is no manager technically. Um, so, and all related to one main person who has been rumored to have been on approached for the job. But anyway, starting with the January camp, tomorrow we have the U.S. January camp squad going up against Serbia. It's going to be 10 o'clock Eastern time, 7 o'clock Pacific. Exciting.
Absurd.
Yeah.
I just to start out right there. Why in the world are we having a USMNT game, 10 o'clock Eastern, on
I
HBO
don't.
Max? On HBO Max.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to
Like,
buy HBO Max just to
no, me
watch
too.
this
I'm gonna
game.
have to get the free trial or whatever for just the game tomorrow. But it's
So
not even the point. It's like we're trying to grow soccer in this country, right? And the men's national team, especially during the World Cup, it was advertised as like this young, exciting team, and we want people to get engaged. And then we put a game at 10 o'clock Eastern on HBO Max on a
yeah,
Wednesday
not
night.
very good.
I mean,
Not very good. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, what I was incredibly confused about was I didn't know that there is now a BMO stadium, which is the LAFC stadium, which used to be Bank of California Stadium,
I didn't know they
is
changed the
now
name either. Huh.
they changed the name to BMO Stadium. So if you may know, Toronto FC Stadium is BMO Field. So
Yeah.
when I saw that, I thought the U.S. national team was playing a game in Toronto at 10 p.m. local time,
Yeah.
and I was that so that was at first that's what I was most confused about.
Yeah.
um,
It's
yeah, but
funny.
it will be in Los
Yeah, I
Angeles.
didn't know that. I didn't know they changed the name either. Huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be in LA. I'm on the West Coast, so it'll be a nice 7 o'clock start for me. But
Mhm.
like, come on, U.S. Soccer, just
Yeah.
do it 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific.
Yeah.
Put it on whatever FS1. I mean, I know there's all
Yeah, I
sorts of
don't.
contracts as far as rights and stuff, but like, let's get it on proper TV. Why is it on HBO Max? Nobody's gonna watch this game unless they are fans like us who are actively searching it out.
Yeah.
And that's really frustrating.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what's going to be on FS1 tomorrow. I can't imagine there's going to be much. So it's odd. Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of people. I don't really think that the January camp is always one of those interesting things. It tends to mainly be for the hardcore fans.
Yeah,
It's not the A team. It's not during a friendly yeah, it's not during like a normal friendly break, international break.
right.
But it will be interesting to watch. It'll be interesting to see, and yeah, it's really odd. It's a really odd thing. I mean, and it's just kind of an oddity in the world of international soccer, anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, it's interesting. I don't know.
But at the end of the day, I think it's exciting because looking at the roster, which we can get into here in a second,
Mm.
it's going to be a great chance to see, well, hopefully, see a lot of guys that we've never seen before with the team, particularly some young guys that could potentially contribute come the next World Cup cycle, which really at this point where we're at is really, that's what we should be looking forward to. So
Yeah.
I think this camp, at the end of the day, it's called Camp Cupcake. It's not our A squad, but it's still nonetheless it serves a really important purpose just in the program and the development of some of these players.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely, and this will be one of those things where, yeah, we'll get to see new players. We have our squad. Is there anyone that you just because I think we should start with the negativity, Will. We should start with the negativity because that's what
Start
we're
with
all about.
negativity.
Start with the negativity.
Okay.
Anyone
Like
that you're disappointed to not see here on the
to
squad.
not see.
To not see.
Okay. I guess there's two. There's two for me. Right off the bat, when the roster first came out, it was Jack McGlynn. I rate Jack McGlynn really highly. I think that he currently has a Premier League level left foot, and if he can fill out the rest of his game, I think he could really be a truly very, very, very good midfielder and have an excellent career and play at a high level in Europe. So I was surprised not to see Jack McGlynn on this roster, and surprised to see Paxton Aronson there. Obviously, they have very different styles of play. They bring different things to the pitch, but I felt like Jack McGlynn is definitely a lot better right now than Paxton Aronson. So I'm fine with Paxton Aronson being there, but I would have liked to see Jack McGlynn. Similar with Aiden Morris, I'm really excited to see him, but at the end of the day, I'd probably go with Jack McGlynn over Aiden Morris. But like we said, slightly different skill set. I think the other one that really stuck out to me, I was surprised not to see there, is Jeremy Abibose. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name quite correctly, but with San Jose, he had, I believe, almost 20 goals, 20 goals in MLS last year. So he was right up there scoring-wise with guys like Jesus Ferreira, Brandon Vazquez, who are both in this roster, and Abibose is not in the roster, and that just doesn't feel terribly fair to him as a guy who's coming off a great year in MLS and is still, decently young. I think he's 24. So I was really surprised not to see him here and to see Matthew Hoppe here instead of him. I rate Matthew Hoppe highly. I think that he has a high ceiling, but he just hasn't really played at all. In the fall, he didn't play at all last year in Spain. So it just feels, as far as if we're looking at, who deserves it in this moment, I think it's unfortunate and unfair to Abibose to not be there when he's coming off such a good year, and Matthew Hoppe to be there when he can't find any minutes in the championship. Those are the two players that I wish were there.
Yeah, it's an interesting squad, and yeah, it will be strange. And what I wonder who selected this squad.
Yeah, I had the same thought too. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, are they still consulting Berhalter at all? I don't know. It seems like it seems too good of a roster for Berhalter to have anything. Like there's too many young players with a lot of promise. There's only one right back, and generally Berhalter likes to have about 4 right backs and 1 left back. But this roster, I think, has 1 right back and 3 left backs. So
I would imagine it's Anthony Hudson.
I would imagine too, but there's got to be some
committee.
Yeah, committee. I don't know. Somebody in U.S. Soccer, I'm sure, is helping with it. But overall, I mean, I was pretty pleasantly surprised with the roster. I think that it's not going to be just a waste of time January camp like some others have. Some others have been.
So. Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. I think a lot of times in the past, it kind of has just been like, a collection of like the best MLS players, not necessarily like, hey, let's get a bunch of young guys out there. Yeah. I don't know if Berhalter could choose. Well, he's not contracted to the team anymore.
No, I don't think he has technically any.
It's not like
they could still talk to him. I don't know, but
I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, we're
Aaron
gonna
Long
bring you
is still
back.
Aaron Long's still there, so he must still have
Yeah,
some type of
yeah, yeah. And
some
then,
type of
is there
influence.
anyone moving on to the positivity? So away
Yeah.
from Greg Berhalter and everything going on with him. Um, Anyone that you're maybe pleasantly surprised, or just people that you're really excited to see play? I have a few people I really want to see out on that pitch. Um, for
So
the
yeah,
U.S. national team.
I think I mean I'm excited to see Gaga Selena play.
Mhm.
I think he's probably going to start. Probably both games. I would be
Mhm.
surprised if Sean Johnson starts. I feel like Sean Johnson is probably more there just as a veteran presence,
Mhm.
and which I'm
Yeah.
fine with. I mean, I think that's great, but I think that it's probably pretty agreed upon that Slanina is the front runner to be our goalkeeper of the future, and I think he probably starts both games. So I think that's exciting. I'm excited to see him play. But I was really happy staying with goalkeepers. I was really happy to see Roman Celentano on the
Mhm.
roster. I watched a decent amount of Cincinnati last year, and I pretty strongly believe that Celentano has a really good chance of let's say it is Gago Salina starting in 2026, and Matt Turner's there also. I think it's a really good chance for Roman Celentano to be that third guy.
Mhm.
I think he's a really high ceiling, and I don't expect him to stay in MLS for more than probably one more season, maybe two. So I was happy to see him there. But I think I'm trying to think, if there's one player that I'm most excited to see, I think it's probably Brandon Vasquez. Um,
Mhm.
I think he should have been on the World Cup roster, and I think he's going to prove in this window he should have been on the World Cup roster. I think he probably is our most complete striker of anybody in the pool. He's he's strong. He's fast. He's technical. He finishes opportunities. His positional play is good. His hold up play is good. So I just think he's a very complete player, and he has all the tools. Where if he keeps improving, I think he could absolutely be. He's absolutely has a shot at being our starting striker in the future. I'm excited. I'm excited to see Alan Sonora. I think we've all kind of heard a
Mhm.
lot about him, but not many of us watch Argentinian soccer regularly. And
Mhm.
he had a decently productive season last season. And yeah, I think that he could. I'm hoping, and like I said, I haven't really seen him play too much, but I'm hoping he can add kind of a creative spark in the midfield that this team has been lacking, especially when Reyna doesn't get minutes, which is a whole
Mhm.
other topic. But when Reyna's not in the field, we really have no creativity in the midfield.
Mhm.
So I'm really hoping that Alan
Mhm.
Sonora um, shows that he has that quality to. I don't expect him to ever be a starter for the USMNT, but as a guy that can come off the bench and provide some creativity in the midfield, I'm really hoping to see that. And then yeah, Zendejas also. I think it's really exciting that he's on this roster. I think he's going to be another guy that we're going to watch him and we're going to be like, wow, how is he not on the World Cup roster? He could have really helped us coming off the bench late in games. He's a lot better than from highlights I've seen, videos I've seen. He seems like much more technically talented than both Ariel and Jordan Morris. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited to see what he can bring. I have pretty high hopes, and I think that he could be a guy that has a more of a mainstay role in the team for in the next couple of years. So yeah,
Mhm.
those are some
Yeah.
some guys off the bat.
Yeah. There's some interesting guys. I'm interested. I would, to see Slonina get that first cap, that first cap. Is it? I think it's literally a cap, like a hat. It's like an old British thing.
I think
He's
so.
like,
Yeah,
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 like you got a cap when you
yeah. I
play
think
for
so.
the national team. I tried to think of it's not a captain. I don't know.
No, you got a cap.
Never mind. If we were a bigger podcast and we had a producer, they could look that up for us right now. But
Yeah.
we don't. Um, Beyond that, I mean, there's some people that I'm interested just in their story aspects. So, like Zendejas is one of them.
Yeah.
Matthew Hoppe is also another one, just because he was supposed to be such this big. He was supposed to be the striker of the future, and he hasn't really done anything. He's disappeared, and now he's back. Um,
Yeah.
uh, Julian Gressel is an interesting one. I doubt he'll really have much of a future with the national team.
Yeah. I think he's just here because there's no other right backs available. Like
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, I
The,
mean we're pretty set as far as Serginho Dest and Joe Scally for the next 10 years. So
yeah.
and Gressel's like
Um,
I think he's 29.
yeah, he is
So
29.
yeah,
Yeah, I
this
doubt
could
he'll
very
have
well
much
be
of
his
a
only
future.
camp.
But I mean, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Paxton Pomykal, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like he was another one of those guys that was supposed to like have a really bright future in Europe,
He's had a
and
lot of injuries. He's been a lot of
yeah,
injuries over his career. Yeah.
yeah. So that's been tough. So he's only had only one hat, ball cap for the U.S. national team, and I am interested to see him play, potentially get out on the field, and to see
Yeah.
if he can contribute anything to the team. Beyond that, yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of interesting people. Looking at the number of players in this squad who have never played a single match for the U.S. national team. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players of the 24.
Yeah.
And then a further 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A further 5 have less than 10 appearances for the U.S. national team. So that's exciting. There's only really a few like mainstays in the national team. So like Zimmerman, Acosta, Sean Johnson, kind of, although he only has 10 appearances, but he's been around the camp for a while.
Yeah.
Areola, obviously, I'll be excited to see him play. He always lights up. He'll be playing with a little bit of anger after missing,
He didn't
after
make it
missing
wrong.
the national team.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously we have a Serbian team tomorrow that is a few MLS guys.
I just want to say that with Paul Arriola real quick, like
Mhm.
it is kind of weird though he's on the roster, isn't it?
It is.
Because he didn't make the last World Cup, right?
Mhm.
And he's not going to make the next World Cup roster.
Probably not.
He's currently in the prime of his career. He's not going to get any better. He's also obviously not going to get any younger. So there's no way he's going to be on the next World Cup roster. And I just don't. Why do you have him here, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
just
it
doesn't
is
make
interesting.
it doesn't make any sense to me. If I understand they bring Zimmerman and Acosta and Aaron Long. Even I don't agree with Aaron Long being there, but I can understand since he was on the World Cup roster, right? He's part of the team. He's there for veteran leadership, presence, whatever. But I just don't understand if Paul Arriola, if he wasn't good enough for the roster in the World Cup. Why are we bringing him in for these meaningless friendlies?
Yeah.
4 years away from a World Cup, he's also not going to feature. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But
It's
anyway.
interesting. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like his consolation. I'll put you in the January camp. It's okay.
Right. And it'll be
don't know.
frustrating. I mean, I think too. Let's hope that the young guys kind of get an opportunity to play. I mean,
Yeah.
looking at this roster, we could have really exciting lineup and get to see guys like Slonina and John Tolkien and Jonathan Gomez and Alan Sonora and Aiden Morris, Paxton Pomykal, Zendejas, Brandon Vasquez. We have the potential to see a lineup consisting of those guys and get to kind of see what they're about. But there's also the chance that it's going to be Zimmerman and Long and Kellen Acosta and Sean Johnson and Paul Arriola and Jesus Ferreira. And I just, we won't really get anything from that, I guess.
Yeah.
So
we don't need to win these games.
right, we don't need to win these games. I mean, we should win these games. We're playing against the Serbian C team, but yeah, of course. Anyways, yeah.
Well, I've been watching the Serbian league all year, and I've been doing all my scouting.
Yeah. Who do we got to watch out? Who we have to watch out for, Jim?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean there is a few MLS guys in there.
We got to watch out for the guy whose last name ends in IC.
Yeah, there's a few of them. You definitely need to watch out for Luka Bielovic. He plays for Spartak Subotica, in the great city of
Jim, their entire roster ends in IC. They're every single person on their roster.
Every single player.
Every single one.
Hmm.
Every single one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyways, go on. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't even have like their Red Star Belgrade players. It's not even the players from like the best teams in the Serbian league. The two teams in the Serbian league I know.
I mean, I'm looking at
Red Star.
on the US Soccer website. I'm looking at the Serbian roster for their match preview. There are only 3 guys that have even been capped before.
Oh yeah! Wow.
And they're actually the 3. They're out the 3 MLS guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, who knows what to expect from this? I don't know if there's any predictions that will suffice. But hopefully it's a win. It should be a win. I mean, I would like to think our standard of play will be a bit higher than not even like the best Serbian players in the Serbian league. But who knows?
Yeah.
We shall see.
I think what I would say is obviously play to win. Let's set up to win, but let's not do it at the expense of seeing the same guys that we've seen over and over and over. Let's this is the time where we can see now who can contribute over the next 4 years, and that's far more. And at the end of the day, that's far more important than beating Serbia.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
And at the end of the day, I mean, like Anthony Hudson's probably not going to be our coach. I mean, he'll definitely that could be the one issue though. Now that I think about it, is that if Anthony Hudson's like, I need to play, I need to prove to the U.S. national team that like I can be a coach, or whoever's watching that I can be a coach. And then he throws out the best players. Yeah. Who knows? That's just a scenario.
I would hope that if our list, I don't know who the heck made up this list and what the reality of any of these choices are, but if our list truly consisted of Zinedine Zidane, Jose Mourinho, I would hope that there can be some sort of compromise. Yeah, we might not get Zinedine Zidane and Jose Mourinho. But I would hope that U.S. Soccer is not going to be like, well, we didn't get those guys, so let's hire Berhalter's assistant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hopefully not. I mean, I would imagine his mind, I would hope in his mind he thinks he has a chance because, that mean he's ambitious and
also, I mean,
whatever.
To be fair, we're talking about him. I don't know anything about him. Right? Just because he worked for Berhalter doesn't mean that he's as bad of a coach as Berhalter.
Yeah.
He could be an excellent coach, and
he could be. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it'll be played out over this time.
It'll be impossible to tell over the next 2 games.
Yeah, it will be impossible to tell over this period of time. But I guess if I were in his position, I would probably think I had a shot. I would want to think I had a shot.
Yeah.
If I were in his position, that's the mindset I would hope I would have.
For sure.
But yeah. So I guess that'll all be played out later. We'll be able to watch the matches. Obviously, we haven't seen them yet. We can analyze that
HBO
later.
Max to be able to watch it.
Yeah, we'll need HBO Max. I'll need to get like my 7-day free trial.
Yeah.
But moving on. Transfers. We have some interesting already. I don't know if they're already completed transfers, but a lot of rumors. It feels like a solid chunk. I don't know if it's a solid chunk or if it's just McKennie and Pulisic, but it seems like a fair amount, and Musa, a fair amount of players are on the move. I think we should probably start with Weston McKennie because I'm going to check Mr. Fabrizio Romano, but that seems like he's going to Leeds United.
Well, it definitely feels like it's advanced. I don't know if it's going to happen. A bigger club could come in with a new bid and make some sort of attractive offer to McKennie. Yeah. But from what I think we've been seeing so far, it seems like McKennie is happy with it and has agreed that he's okay with that move. So if they can find the right price, And I mean, what I'm seeing is McKennie for 20 to 25 million, which seems kind of like a steal to me.
Hmm.
And I think definitely Leeds have that type of money to spend in this window. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I don't know how I feel about it. It's interesting.
Mhm.
If McKennie goes to Leeds, I just don't really know how he would fit into their system. I would have to think that
Yeah.
that would decrease Aronson's playing time,
Hmm.
which is fine. I mean, I don't know. It's we can't pick and choose between one guy's playing time over another. But yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely it puts a lot of pressure on American soccer. I think
It does.
it could go really 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 well, or it could go really 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 wrong.
It could. Yeah.
And if Leeds, Weston McKennie goes there, all of a sudden they have Jesse Marsh, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, and Brendan Aronson, and they get relegated. I mean, that's going to be
That,
tough for how the
yeah.
world views American soccer and how the British view it, and it'll be all the blame will be on Americans, I think,
that will be.
in
Yeah.
England. At the same time, it could go really freaking well, and Leeds could be challenging for a European spot in 2 years,
Hmm.
and they could be building a great project. And yeah, it could totally change everything. So I don't know. It's a huge risk, but
Hmm.
I obviously, as a national team fan, I like the idea of our midfielders getting more time playing together. It only makes them better. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, I think there's a lot of risk involved if that
There is
move
a lot of
happens.
risk. First thing I want to say, just flatly about Leeds, at least Jesse Marsh's Leeds, is that they make a 0-0 draw look so interesting. Did you see who are they playing in their last? They're playing Fulham, I believe. I think they're playing Fulham.
You cut out there
They
for a
might
second.
not. No, they're playing Brentford, the other
Yeah, I watched the game
overperforming
against
London
Brentford.
side.
Yeah, what about it?
Um, that was the most interesting 0-0 draw I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, every
It
Leeds
was
game is crazy.
it's insane. Um, so there, it was way more interesting than the mid-table clash of Chelsea Liverpool, um, but that
Oh,
also
yeah,
ended 0-0. Um, but what I find interesting about this transfer is that it allows me to create and broadcast a conspiracy theory, which is that Jesse Marsh is basically stockpiling all the top American players that he can possibly get at Leeds, so that when he, as as many fans see it, when he inevitably takes charge of the U.S. national team, a whole bunch of U.S. national team players will have already played in his system
yeah.
and will have played with him and know how to play, so they'll be super prepared. That's
No, it's not.
kind of
It's not a bad strategy at all. If that's what he's doing,
it's
honestly.
not a bad strategy. So I don't know. I mean, it could just be that, like, obviously, like, obviously, you know, managers have. I think the simple version of it is managers have biases towards players from their own country. Like,
Sure.
look at how Eric Ten Hag got Wout Weghorst.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
no like no other manager
Oh yeah.
would have done,
I
like,
I I watched that the Man U game. It was a
yeah,
Man U Arsenal over the
yeah,
weekend. Great game. Bad
yeah.
Horse did not look like he belonged.
So yeah, I've watched just out of coincidence, I've watched pretty much every minute Wout Weghorst has spent on the pitch for Manchester United so far, which has only been 2 games. Um, I like I don't think he has done anything of significant value.
No, they
And
definitely just technically he looked far worse than everybody around
yeah,
him.
technically looks far worse, and I don't think the players trust him. I'm just simply going off of that Marcus Rashford goal, where the very simple thing, like the very obvious thing to do was to pass it to a very open Wout Weghorst.
Yeah.
He's also just so lanky. He looks like so like
No, he
discombobulated.
does. Yeah, he does not look coordinated at all.
But yeah, that's an entire tangent. But like
Yeah.
he seems like a hindrance to his team.
Yeah.
Like I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing there. But yeah, so basically, like Jesse Marsh prefers American players, as like if the manager was Colombian, I'm sure he'd try to pick out all the top
Oh, for
Colombian
sure. I
talent.
mean, look at Brentford and their Danish manager and all their Danish
Yeah,
players, and
Oh yeah.
Wolverhampton and
So
their Portuguese manager. And all. Yeah, for sure. It's
yeah,
not like it's a new thing. I just think that there's more scrutiny when
yeah.
it's an American.
But I think
But
but when we pair that with like obviously Jesse Marsh has has expressed interest in coaching the national team before. I wonder if that's his end game. Like he's
yeah,
like looking at the national team. I don't know if he is. I mean,
possibly. Yeah,
obviously,
I think there's a lot of other. I think look, all right. First of all, if Leeds can become like America's team, just
mhm,
the financial boost from that is crazy, right?
yeah,
If they can get all U.S. national team fans tuning into their games every week, buying their
mhm,
jerseys, their scarves, that's a giant financial boost. So I think that's definitely involved. I think the other thing too, like I said, I really believe McKennie for 20, 25 million. I think that's a steal.
yeah,
So
that is pretty good.
I think he's probably worth more like 40, 45. So
Mhm,
I think that's a really good piece of business, and I think it leads. It makes sense that they would not want to. If the player is interested, it makes sense that they would, you know,
yeah,
pull the trigger on that. And I think the other thing too is for Leeds, right? They're a small club. How many times do they have a Juventus starter that wants to come play for them?
yeah,
Right. That does not happen, maybe ever.
no,
So I completely understand the motivation to get it. Now, to get McKennie. Now, if I'm a Leeds fan, also, I'm looking at this like the midfield is not the problem. The problem is the center backs and the striker. There's no Leeds don't have a
mhm,
striker. Rodrigo's playing out of position as a striker, and their center backs are mid championship level. You know,
yeah,
I think in that sense it just doesn't like another midfielder is just not what the team needs at the moment. But as I said, um,
yeah,
and then I've also seen some stuff online regarding this Weston McKennie transfer. People saying, "Oh, he's too good for Leeds. He needs to go to a bigger club, right? Go to Arsenal, go to
mhm,
Spurs. You know, he deserves to be playing Champions League football." Um, and my response to that is honestly, like if guys are playing in the Premier League, who cares what team they play for? It's about getting minutes. It's about getting playing time. I would so much prefer Christian Pulisic to be playing on Brentford or Aston Villa and starting and playing a full 90 every week than being on Champions League, Chelsea, and getting a start once every 3 games. And I think it's the same thing for Weston McKennie. He goes to Arsenal.
mhm,
Yeah, he's a chance to win the league and play Champions League next year. How much is he gonna? He's not going to start. He might, maybe
yeah,
some injuries, but how much playing time is he going to get? Yeah, he'll be an important player. He'll come off the bench, get minutes. But
mhm.
I think we often overlook the importance of just sheer minutes play time.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, and speaking of
yeah,
Pulisic, um, there has been some rumors. Now, nothing as substantiated as the West McKinney. I think that's the only real thing that looks like it's going to happen
yeah,
this January. But
hmm
obviously, Chelsea has gone a bit insane, a wee bit insane, um, and just stockpiling, as many forwards who play in the exact same style as they
yeah,
possibly can, despite the fact that like they've been doing this for 2 years and it hasn't worked. Maybe they should, I don't know, do something else. Like, yeah, but that's a whole other rant. But Christian Pulisic, I mean, personally, I just think he needs to get the hell out of there because it looks like a mess, and
yeah.
he's going to get lost in a sea of dribbly forwards like Joao Felix and Mudryk. Um, there has been talk of AC Milan. I think that's an interesting choice, and I don't know if that's the best choice for him just because they have Rafael Leao, who kind of is an incredibly similar player. Um,
Yeah.
likes being on the left,
I feel like
likes
Leao
coming
probably
in.
moves the Premier League though this summer.
He might. I mean, I think he's about to sign a new contract. I hope he doesn't move to the
Yeah.
Premier League. Um, and I
I
think
just I
I
think
think
somebody's going to come in with secret. Probably Chelsea's going to come offer like 150
that would
this
I
summer.
would throw up. I would throw up. I mean, yeah, if they get rid of Liao, that's fine. I hope they keep Liao. I mean, I'm a fan of just Italian soccer in general.
yeah.
I sense that Leao wants to stay, and I also sense that AC Milan probably has the money to keep him, and I think they're close to signing a new contract. What AC Milan really needs is essentially just a forward on the right, who would be more comfortable on the right. You know, they got destroyed today, and they kind of got pummeled. I mean, A, because they're not playing well right now, but B, because they're essentially their entire tactic is like get the ball lay out and let him
Yeah.
just create magic. Um, that's generally how they play. I don't know. What did you think of that rumor? Well, did you see that rumor? First of all,
I did see that rumor. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I think where I'm at for Pulisic is I want him to. First of all, I want him to get minutes. I think that's most important. Consistent minutes, not be in a situation like Chelsea where nobody has any clue who's going to be a starter. 2 weeks from now. So I think that's most important. Just minutes, consistent playing time, a manager that trusts him. But I also want him to be on a team where his strengths are shown in how that team plays. So Pulisic, right? I think part of the reason he's struggled at Chelsea is it's just not really his style of play. He's not really good in like a possession game, where his team has a lot of the ball. He's a lot better in transition when he's running, at defenders with the ball at his feet, and things are happening fast, and there's space in front of him, and there's players making runs around him. That's when he's at his best. So, and that's part of the reason why I think Chelsea just wasn't a good fit. There hasn't been a good fit. So yeah, it's just I don't really. It doesn't matter to me if it's AC Milan, a Champions League team, big club, storied history, or if it's whatever for Aston Villa. It just doesn't really matter what team as far as caliber of historical significance in Champions League or not Champions League. I just want him to be somewhere where he's getting consistent minutes.
Yeah. I think he could maybe do that in Milan. I'd be interested to see. I mean, I think he'd have to play on the right.
Yeah. Which he can do.
If he could adapt to that, I think that's awesome. I think it would be kind of a bit of a knock on him, I guess, to say like, oh, he can only play on the left. Like if he could play on the right and pair up with Leao, and then again play with Giroud, which he done
played really well with
Giroud,
Giroud,
before.
Yeah.
That would be good. I think, honestly, Italy is a lot of good teams in Italy that could kind of suit his playing style well, because a lot of it is like just kind of structured and like fast counterattacking play, which, I think would suit his game, like whether it be Napoli or AC Milan or, I mean, probably not Juventus. I don't think any attacking players can do well at Juventus anytime soon. It maybe not Inter Milan. I don't know how well that would work in like a 3-5-2, but maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But another
bottom line, he's got to get out of Chelsea. It's just
he's got to get out of Chelsea.
I wish he got out in the summer, but I don't know. I feel like with Todd Bowley, I think he's just buying as many players as he can, and I think pretty much this summer he's going to look at everybody he's got and then basically just be like, all right, these are the guys I want, and these guys I don't want anymore. I think he's really trying to make this his team rather than Roman Abramovich's team. And he's just going to keep buying, and then come summertime, he's going to let like half the people go.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting to see. But I think Chris Milsik has to go. It would have been really sick to have seen him go to Newcastle at the beginning of the year.
Right.
This year.
I wish that happened.
Which, as was rumored, he'd be in a way better position. That can maybe still happen next year. But who knows? I guess the other big transfer rumor that I've heard is Yunus Musa. He has been linked to a few teams. It seems that he's not going to go in January. It sounds like Valencia has no intention to sell him, but I thought he had a really great World Cup. And Valencia are a bit of a mess of a team right now. So it would probably be very helpful for Eunice to get out of there and um, go to a different club, hopefully a club with a better infrastructure.
Hmm.
Um, there there has been some. I mean, there hasn't really been any substantial rumors. I don't think people were talking about him going to Liverpool. I don't know how realistic that would be. The one that I would want to see him go to is Inter Milan because I think that would suit his play style really well. Essentially, as like a, I think he could. I think he did really well under the kind of the Greg Berhalter midfield three, um, and that is very much like a Simone Inzaghi midfield three. Kind of works in the same way, um,
Hmm.
and he's just like an energetic, player. And yeah, I'd like to see that. I don't know if you have any opinions on where Yunus Musa should go.
I mean, my initial thought is Dortmund, um,
Mm.
because no way Jude Bellingham stays this summer.
Yeah.
So I think that that could be a great replacement, and it's a good club for guys that are, just I
Mhm.
think the move before that big move. Um, for me, Yunus Moose is 20 years old. It's amazing to see him being linked to
Yeah.
Liverpool and Inter Milan. I just don't I don't think you need to do that at 20 years old, right?
Hmm.
I think that a slow progression up to the top level is a good way to go. And for Yunus
Hmm.
Musa, I think he could contribute. At least in Liverpool's case, I don't watch near as much Serie A
Yeah.
as I watch Premier League. But in the case of Liverpool, yeah, I think Musa could get a lot of minutes. I think he could definitely come off the bench, kind of have like, take over Naby Keita's minutes, essentially something like that. But I don't think Musa can really be a starter at a Champions League level
Hmm.
until he adds goals and assists to his game a bit more. And that's really just not a part of his game at the moment. And I
Hmm.
think to be a midfielder playing in Champions League level, you have to have that aspect of your game, goals and assists. Especially somebody like him who it's not like he's necessarily a holding midfielder. He has the ball at his feet. He progresses it forward. But yeah, he needs to add that to his game. So I think that for me, yeah, Dortmund is the first thing that comes to my head. I think that would be a great spot. He could play with Gio Reyna more, which I think is great. The more we have guys together, so either that or yeah, if he's going to go Premier League, I don't think it needs to be Liverpool or Arsenal or Chelsea right away. I think that a smaller club where he's going to get consistent playing time is what's most important.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Dortmund would be interesting. I think I kind of like the idea of him going to Inter Milan just because it is kind of like the U.S. midfield three, but he would
Mm-hmm.
have three at the back.
Yeah,
So I think where Musa was kind of had a bit of a trouble was perhaps in like just he was getting a bit shaky when he was tired, and I think that kind of structure of him having like a really hardworking wing back to his right, and having like a bit more of a just defensive structure behind him,
mm,
um, could work really well, and it could allow him to kind of be a bit more. I think that would give him the opportunity to play some really, to just it would be a good opportunity for him to be able to have the structure in place where he could start scoring and assisting. I
sure.
think it could work. I mean, but then at the end of the day, who knows? Um, you know, looking at Inter's lineup, they are actually it's actually a pretty attacking midfield three. Um, I know when I'm thinking of this entirely as I watched a lot of Simone Inzaghi when he was the coach of Lazio, and there he basically had Luis Alberto, Sergei Milinkovic, and then Lucas Leiva, and the back three, and like Lucas Leiva was essentially like this like incredible like sweeper kind of defensive midfielder, like just like an absolute like bulldog. So if Inter got a player like that behind him and then a back three, I think Yunus Musa could be a good like somewhat box to box, but then just kind of forward thinking player.
Right.
But yeah, I did see a lot of potential with him, and I hope he does kind of get a really good
Yeah.
opportunity to go to a club that isn't
He's only
just a
he's only
terrible
20
mess.
years old, which is crazy.
Yeah, he's only 20 years old. That's insane. I feel like he's been around a lot longer than that.
Yeah, he had
Um,
his first cap at 17.
yeah,
It has been
pretty
a while. Yeah.
crazy, pretty crazy. But yeah, a bright future for him. Hopefully, I would bet on it. And yeah, are there any other big transfers that I've missed of USMNT players?
Oh, not USMNT, but Messi to Seattle Sounders confirmed.
Oh,
Here we
perfect.
go.
Here we go. Here we
Although I
go.
will, in more serious tone, the Sounders should go after
Mm.
Matthew Hoppe
Whoa, why do you say that?
because the Sounders need to, you know, Rui Diaz is 34 years old now. Like we need a new
He is
striker.
pretty old.
That's not going to last. We need a new
Yeah.
striker, and Matthew Hoppe needs a new club. He's not getting any playtime at Middlesbrough. With that being said, he's shown flashes of. I mean, when he was in the that hat trick he scored in the Bundesliga, I'll never forget. Because
Mhm.
and not only was it a hat trick, but all three goals were really high quality. So he has that ability, he has that potential, and I think he just needs somebody that he needs a team that trusts him and will play him. And I think Seattle would be a perfect fit for him to. I think he should come to MLS, get consistent minutes, get playing time, and Seattle need a new striker, and we
That's
need
true.
just a new generation, a new era. It's this squad that we have now is it's not. Yeah, we need new young blood, and Matthew Hoppe I think would be the perfect fit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that will be exciting.
see how he
That will be
performs, and
exciting.
see how he performs in the next 2 days. Honestly, I
Mm.
don't even know if he's going to play because I think Brandon Vasquez and Jesus Ferrer will pretty much get all the minutes. So
Jesus for ugh, not but yeah,
no, the thing with Jesus Ferrer
Well,
is he's just not a striker. Like
yeah, that
he's
is
a
true.
good player. I don't have any problem with him. He's just not a striker. And
Mm-hmm.
Berhalter, he's a 10. Berhalter doesn't play with a 10. So he doesn't get it. So Jesus Ferreira can't play in his best position. Then he plays out of position as a striker, and he's bad. But then we all get all mad at Jesus Ferreira. But really, it's Greg Berhalter's fault for playing a guy out of position.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But
Greg Berhalter. Uh, speaking of coaches, another big rumor. Another big rumor. I'm mainly just going for the clickbaity headlines here. Jose Mourinho in the mix. Do you think it will happen? Do you want it to happen, Will? Would you be how excited would you be on a level of 10 if Fabrizio Romano did a here we go for 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 Jose Mourinho?
all right. First of all, do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's almost no chance it happens. Um, do I want it to happen? I'd be excited. I'd definitely
Hmm.
be really excited if it happens. But I think you could definitely, you know, I think if we're comparing to Greg Berhalter, right, it's like I think miles apart. Um, but if Jose Mourinho, let's say, joins after this season at Roma, right, he becomes a coach this summer. Just like realistically, what are the chances Jose Mourinho genuinely like sticks around and makes it last 4 years in a position? Like
Yeah, he
just
hasn't done
everywhere he
that.
goes, like something just like toxic happens and just like
Yeah,
also can you imagine Jose Mourinho in press conferences with like these completely clueless reporters asking him questions? And he would also I would love it because I think he would very bluntly like point out all of just like the absurdities and like insanely stupid stuff that there is in US soccer.
yeah,
I think he would just like he wouldn't have any he would have no reason not to, like he would have no reason to hold back. Um, So I think that
Oh
would
yeah.
be funny and it would be cool, and I think that it would be good because we could kind of get like U.S. soccer get the slap in the face they deserve.
Yeah.
Not even just U.S. soccer, but just like our whole, youth soccer, $3,000 for a club team, all this nonsense that we have in American soccer. Your
Mhm.
Wednesday night game at 10:30 Eastern on peak, on HBO Max. Like I think these types of things Jose Mourinho would speak up about and just and like really kind of stick it to the U.S. soccer. But I just don't think it would end well. And if he, as I said,
It,
if
it,
he joined this summer, there's just like so little chance he would make it last till
mm,
2026.
yeah. Um, Jose Mourinho is kind of hasn't been at his peak for a while.
Yeah,
I I don't know if he's made Roma a better team. Probably a little bit better. Probably a fair bit better. Like a little bit better. Um, I also think that the quality of the league as a whole in the past couple of years has gone up. So, but I just think I know it's like a really big name and people online, the online people are really excited about it. Yeah, I I think he'd probably get frustrated with a lot of things.
yeah.
Um, I think he'd definitely start a fight with some player. You know, he'd probably alienate I mean, obviously Greg alienated Gio, but like I think he'd probably do that with like two people at least.
At least hopefully
Um,
he could pick like a worse player to get in a feud with.
hopefully, you'd hope. I think he probably would.
Yeah.
I think he probably would because yeah, he'd probably
But
get in a feud with like Anthony Robinson or something. I don't know.
no,
Um,
Anthony seems like a nice guy.
yeah, who knows? I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. I'd
I
still like, yeah, I like, I mean, yeah, I think it would obviously be a huge upgrade. And I think it would be exciting to have a coach that's, won Champions Leagues and such. But I also, like, I still would, I feel like somebody like Marcelo Bielsa would still be just like a way safer choice.
mhm. Yeah, it's not a very safe choice. I mean, I do always have like a little bit of apprehension when you take someone who's spent their entire job in the club career in the club world of club soccer, because I think it is probably a very different thing to coach, and it is a very different thing to coach.
Yeah,
Um, and I wonder how a guy like Jose Mourinho would adjust to it when again he's not going to get he's not going to be able to. Jose Mourinho is very big on transfers. He's very big on. He's not very he's notoriously like anti youth academy. He's very notoriously like, let me bring in the players I want. The
right,
players I know will work for me. He
right.
won't have the power to do that. Um, and then yeah, I would love to see him you know, just lash out against the suburban country club that is U.S. Soccer Federation, and that
Yeah,
would
he'd
be
be
pretty
he'd be quite a
hilarious.
disruptor.
He would be quite a disruptor, but again, like you know, the the U.S. Soccer is a country club. They tend to, the country clubs tend to keep things in house.
Right.
So I'm just very unsure about who they're going to pick for a coach, and because it would need to be, you know, again like another guy who's connected to the '90s U.S. team, and I don't know who else is available for that in a way, or
I
like
don't I
someone
think
who's just
I don't think Alexi Wallace is coaching anybody right now.
like maybe Eric Winalda.
Oh my god. Can you imagine the two of
Eric
them co-head coaches?
Eric Winalda is the Kurt. Okay, he's not. Yeah, he's not like racist, but he's like almost the Kurt Schilling of. Or I don't think he's racist, but he's like the Kurt Schilling of like the U.S. soccer world. It's so obnoxious. Every single one of those guys, as I told you privately, Like every single person who played in the U.S. national team in the 1990s needs to go. Needs to get out.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. I don't care if most of them are good people. I don't care if Kobe Jones is a nice guy who hasn't done anything wrong. Just the affiliation alone. I know this is draconian, but I think we just need a cleanse. I think we just need a cleanse
No,
of all that.
it's definitely it's a pretty toxic atmosphere for sure.
Yeah, and I wonder. We talked about how like Julian like the big thing was like Julian Lopetegui inquired about the job and they said no.
Right.
And looking at now everything we know, like you know, like I wonder if they were just like, well, he's not in the circle of friends. Like
Yeah,
we can't.
he didn't play for U.S. Soccer. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we can't hire him. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, like suburban country club mentality.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But yeah,
Sure.
well, in 24 hours, we'll be at halftime. Hopefully, the U.S. national team will be up 3-0,
6
4
nothing.
nothing, 6-0. Yeah, all through the all through the might and the power of Anthony Gordon. What's his name again?
Hudson.
Anthony Berhalter, assistant man. We
Hudson.
shall see.
Isn't it Hudson?
Anthony Hudson. Anthony Gordon's plays for Everton, I think. I don't know. Exhilarating stuff. Yeah, Anthony Gordon plays for Everton, and he might go to Chelsea. Exciting. Chelsea needs another player. But yeah. You have anything else to add, Will? Was anything else you wanted to touch on?
I think that's about covered it. But yeah, we'll have more to say after the matches.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. And then after that, we have our first MLS team, I believe, ever in the Club World Cup. The Seattle Sounders. Go Sounders, obviously. That will be exciting. We'll have the January camp over, and we will be almost ready for the MLS season and the inaugural season of St. Louis City FC United. Now I forget which one they are. Are they City?
I think it's St. Louis City SC, not FC.
FSC. Oh, okay. Inter St. Louis.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you. We'll see you after all that. We'll see you again after all that. Thank you for sticking with us if you've stuck with us. Namaste.